this is Coco from CrossFit The Challenge and Ace Fit, and I'm excited to show you our family's favorite basic granola recipe. This one is so fun because the options are limitless. You can add so many different things, different types of nuts, seeds. You can put in some protein powder, which I'll show you, or you can just go with gluten-free oats, dried fruit, lemon zest, anything you want. This is really versatile. So I don't do cereal in our house. It seems like our only options are really sugary, bad for you, delicious cereal, or super expensive organic stuff that, quite frankly, we would go through in one sitting, and it just doesn't work for our budget. So making your own granola is a great option to make sure that it's healthy, affordable, and of course delicious. Here's what you're gonna need. So for ours today, I will be adding some protein. That's not necessary. It's just a way for us to be getting our macros in. So if you are using it, I recommend UR Protein. I love the cereal milk one because it adds a little bit of a cinnamon flavor to it, but you can totally mess around. Use vanilla, chocolate. That's one of the benefits of this easy recipe. You can kind of try a lot of different things, and I promise you that most of them will turn out very, very well. So to begin with, you're gonna start with, if you're using protein, you're going to start with 3.5 cups of oats, old-fashioned oats. If you're not using protein, you're gonna be using 4 cups of oats. So I will be using protein today. So if you are using protein, just gonna add 2 scoops of protein in. And then you've got 1 teaspoon of fine sea salt. All right, so once you've added the salt, you're gonna add 1.5 cups of raw nuts. This, again, is completely up to you, whatever you have on hand. I happen to have some pecans, and I really like to use almonds, but I don't have any right now. I ate them. So I'm getting rid of some peanuts. So that's gonna be my blend. You do you, whatever you want. So about 1/2 teaspoon, give or take. I like more, so I'm gonna do more like a teaspoon, but up to you. All right, go ahead and mix that all up. Okay, to that you're gonna add 1/2 cup of melted coconut oil. You could use a different kind of vegetable oil. We don't use canola in our house, and olive oil would give it a stronger flavor. So we think coconut oil is best. Make sure that it's fully melted before you add it in there. And then 1/2 cup, either honey or maple. I'm going to use maple today, but honey's just as good. All right, and then you're gonna add a teaspoon of either pure vanilla extract. I really like pure almond extract as well. And then we're just gonna mix that all up. I wanna make sure that every oat is fully covered. So, the reason I'm adding a little bit more of that maple syrup and the coconut oil is because I do have the protein powder in there, and that really sucks it up. If you're not using protein powder, just the oats, you may be able to get away with 1/2 cup of that coconut oil and maple syrup. But because I'm using protein, I just tend to add a little bit more. And you'll just kind of keep adding. You don't want it to be too wet, but we want it to be wet enough that it's going to make clumps, because that is the best part about granola, having the clumpy pieces. After it comes out of the oven, feel free to add any dry fruit you want. Dried cranberries are great. You could chop up some dates, put that in there. If you want a little bit of a citrusy flavor, like if you were doing chocolate protein and wanted kind of an orange with it, I would just put in some orange zest, fresh orange zest in there. All right, so texture-wise, You can still see it's not super clumpy, but everything is well coated. So on that, I'm going to put it on a cookie sheet with parchment paper on it. That parchment paper is going to be important because it's going to allow the sweetener, whether that's honey or maple syrup, to stick to the oats and not to the pan. I'm gonna put that on there. Spread it out a bit. I'm using a half sheet, but we do want it a bit crowded because, again, that's how the clumps are made. So a bit crowded, pressing it down. The oven's been set at 350. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there for about 20, 24 minutes, depending. Oh, it's smelling so good. I'm just gonna stir it up. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna press it down because I like it really clumpy. You don't have to. All right. Throw it back in. All right, it's been in there for about 22 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out because it's lightly browned on the top, and that's exactly how I want it. Okay, so you can see it's lightly brown, especially along the edges. It might not look completely done for you, and that's okay because it will still bake for a little bit on the cookie sheet. Now, this is the hardest part of the whole baking. You want it to completely cool before you start breaking it up, if you want clumps. Now, if you don't care about the clusters and clumps, go ahead and start eating it right away. I dare you to try and stop. However, if you like your granola really with lots of clumps and all, you're gonna want it to completely cool before you start breaking it apart. So we'll see if I can wait that long. All right, guys, my granola is all cooled off. It's in the clusters that I was hoping for. Turned out delicious. Let me know what variations you tried. In the comments below, I have a couple different suggestions, but like I said, this is so versatile. I'm sure you will be very creative and come up with some delicious options that I would like to try as well. So thank you for watching and enjoy.